And welcome back to Who Would Win, everyone. Today's Who Would Win, I'll admit, I kind of messed up and forgot to write down who exactly gave me this suggestion, but I will put that person's name in the description box below. So, this one is Alucard versus Judge Death from the Judge Dredd franchise. Comics, mind you. Now, obviously, Alucard is an old friend of the channel, so let's just get into this real quick. Alucard, or Vlad Tepes, is Dracula in his universe. He's hundreds of years old. He has survived for hundreds of years. But he has been defeated before. But he is the king of all vampires. As such, he does not carry this. He carries all the strengths of vampires up because he's basically the king of vampires, and really none of the weaknesses. He does not have an aversion to sunlight, although he does say it tires him out to be awake during the day. He has no aversion to things like garlic, silver, nothing like that. He can still be killed through a stake in the heart, but really only by someone who has true humanity in their soul. As he puts it, only a man can kill a monster. That, or he has to just go up against someone so supernaturally powerful, he would be wiped out. Like, he would not beat Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, for example. Hell, he wouldn't beat Thanos, period. Someone like that, or, not even that strong, but you get my meaning. But as Alucard, the one you see before you, he is still immensely powerful, a master marksman and weapons user. I mean, he wields the Jackal, and I can never remember the other one, but both are high-performance frickin', kill-you-dead rounds. The Jackal, particularly, has rounds designed to deal with people with regenerative capabilities. It was made particularly to deal with Alexander Anderson, who did have regenerative capabilities. Alucard can release his power through restraints, release restraint level 3, 1, 2, and 3, or 3, 2, and 1, which, gives him that, leather gimp form, which gives him more enhanced strength, capable of summoning the Hound of the Baskerville, a demonic hellhound, at his disposal. And all while he still has his most potent ability, his regeneration. That really is Alucard's most, Alucard. That is Alucard's most potent ability, really, is just the ability to just take damage, soak it up, and then just come back from the dead. He has standard vampire regeneration, just hyper, accelerated. So he can take a huge amount of damage even without using his main way of taking damage. This is due to the fact that he is, again, the king of vampires. Now, the theory, though, why he really just can't be killed, and it's never fully stated, but it does make sense, is that that blood is the currency of the soul, and by becoming a vampire, you're basically taking souls by force. And we know for a fact he had over 2 million souls stored within his body. Now, it's basically believed that whenever he takes a mortal wound, basically he just, instead of his soul taking the damage, just takes the soul that he's got in there, it takes the damage, and because of just how many souls people he can, kind of munches on, he's always got souls in there. However, when he releases restraint level 0, he releases all the souls within him, exposing his true soul and making him vulnerable. However, he's still Alucard. He's still got these centuries worth of experience. He's still a warrior. He can go back and revert to Alucard. He still has access to all these souls, too. The thing is, we see when he fights Anderson that even though all those souls are around and, causing havoc, he still has the massive regeneration that he normally has. My guess is he can still take those souls and use them for regeneration if need be. However, against someone who has true humanity, like, the original Van Helsing did, as he described Anderson initially having, they would be able to take him out by piercing the heart, just like Walter was trying to do. However, when Anderson and Walter basically became vampires, Walter became a vampire, Anderson became a monster of God, they no longer had the ability to kill Alucard. And then obviously there's also the Schrodinger's Alucard, where he basically has swallowed Schrodinger's soul, and by the end of the series, it's implied that only him and Alucard's soul remains, and Alucard more or less adopted all the abilities of Schrodinger, which means he is pretty much nigh omnipotent, as he is everywhere and nowhere all at once. And as long as he remains unobserved, it's like one of those things where you pretty much can't kill Alucard at that point. Now, Judge Death is from an alternate dimension. Judge Death's real name is actually Sidney Diath. D-E-apostrophe-A-T-H. Get Sidney Death? Ha! Anyway, he is the leader of the Dark Judges as well as the archenemy of Dredd himself. He is also, in many ways, what Dredd could have become if taken into the most extreme, as he too is a merciless enforcer of the law. However, his version of the law is at odds with Dredd's world, and this makes him one of Dredd's many enemies. Death has taken on more than just Judge Dredd in the past, thanks to comics crossovers like Judge Dredd and Batman, as well as other tales that range from dark and sinister to downright comedic. But as such, Judge Death's, the thing about Judge Death is he's actually a spirit possessing a corpse, is what he is. He is a spirit inhabiting a corpse. The body itself is very difficult to hurt, as damage inflicts no disabilities unless appropriately severe, severing a limb or burning him, for example. And the dead flesh cannot feel pain. If the host is destroyed, then Death's spirit can escape and possess living humans. Death, usually with the help of others, prepares the new host body by using a mixture of chemicals to decay the flesh and let the body reach full ripeness, as he says. In Batman/Judge Dredd Judgment on Gotham, Scarecrow helps Death with this task. Judge Death has some degree of superhuman strength. He's able to lift humans with one hand or toss them easily. He's capable of making illusions of himself and evading the minds of others. Whether this is Death's specialty or an ability shared by all Dark Judges is unknown. Death always kills his victims in particularly gruesome ways. His primary method of killing is to thrust his razor-sharp fingers into the body of the victims and squeeze the heart until it bursts, aided by his ability to phase through physical matter like a ghost. So Death is kind of messed up. I mean, he's a very nihilistic guy, thinking that death, basically life itself, is a crime, so he needs to snuff it out. Yeah, who would win this fight? So right at the bat, let's take Schrodinger Alucard out of the equation for a second and just talk about Alucard. Because right at the bat, with Schrodinger Alucard, there's no way Judge Death can do anything about it. He doesn't have the ability to possess Alucard because, let's be honest, Alucard's mental strength is far beyond something that Judge Death could take care of, could handle. And Alucard's no stranger to hypnosis or illusions either, or phasing through things either. So that's just his basic abilities. Then we're talking about, if we add the fact that Schrodinger Alucard can't be killed by any normal means, or at least any means that we see Judge Death to have, then absolutely there's no way that Judge Death is winning that fight. But let's take a regular Alucard and put him against Judge Death. How would this work out? Well, Alucard, let's say Judge Death, through dimension hopping, winds up in Helsing. That makes the most sense. And he starts wreaking havoc, and Alucard's sent to go after him. And they eventually encounter each other. Alucard and him kind of have a square off. I must admit, I can't say I'm against what you're doing to some degree. But without life, there can be no death. Just having death around is boring, after all. It's what makes the living so interesting. The fact that it all could end. I could tell we could have gotten along. I don't know what Judge Death sounds like, but I could tell we could have gotten along in different circumstances, monster. But oh well. And he just attacks Alucard. I'm pretty sure he carries firearms on him as well. And Alucard shoots at him. Now remember, Alucard's bolts are more designed to take on regenerators and more durable objects. So I do think they could probably injure Judge Death to some degree, particularly the enhanced rounds designed to deal with someone like Anderson. But I don't think they're going to be... Judge Death also wears armor, someone like any other street judge, so it's all going to be dependent on if it's hitting like his hand or his face, something like that. When he gets his hand blown, it's like, well, aren't you just a dirty bird? But still, and he tries to possess Alucard just to see if he can. And it quickly realizes, and Alucard's like, oh, you really think that's going to work now, don't you? But I've got news for you. You're not dealing with any normal little human here. And Judge Death quickly realizes, this isn't human. I need to get back in my body. And Alucard, he also realized that Alucard actually could maybe take my spirit out. Because, Alucard feeds on souls. So, really, when you break it down, that's what he stores in him. He's a soul. In all essence, he could theoretically eat him, given the right amount of time. So Judge Death, phases through something to try to get away, but Alucard just, keeps up with him, merges with shadows, which you can do, and, just keeps firing, and eventually he just blows up Judge Death's body. I mean, Judge Death could also, could maybe blow up Alucard's too, but unlike Alucard, Judge Death doesn't have a regenerative capability. He just, goes to new bodies, whereas Alucard does have regenerative capability. So they're going to be, going toe-to-toe for a while. Eventually, I think Alucard does want to release, it does the release restraint, the 3, 2, and 1. And ultimately releases, the GIMP form, if you will. And Judge Death ultimately rips Judge Death into pieces. He notices the soul, and it's like, yeah, well, you're quite the nuisance, Alucard. But this isn't over. And all of a sudden he just hears a growl. And Alucard just smiles like, I'm afraid it is. Say, you talk a big game, little dog, but in the end, you're nothing but dog food. And it's like, what? And that Baskerville Hound is right behind us and just eats him. And I imagine because being it's a hellhound and not a true physical creature, something more of hell, and therefore be able to feed on the more metaphysical, that Judge Death could be something that he could consume. So, I gotta go. The problem here for Judge Death, in my opinion, mind you, is that none of the abilities he seems to demonstrate are anything that Alucard would either fall for or be affected by. And the one thing he can do that Alucard doesn't immediately have a response to, the whole turning into a spirit, I do think Alucard would catch on to and find a way to just eat him. So, as messed up as Judge Death as a character is, I got to go with Alucard. I think Alucard just has the better answers to Judge Death than Judge Death does for Alucard, because, frankly, there's not much Death can do to actually kill Alucard. So, but that's just my opinion. I fully acknowledge that I have not read enough Judge Dredd to maybe have the best knowledge of everything that he's capable of doing, but everything I can find on Judge Death, I would go with Alucard in this fight. But that's just my opinion. What do you think in the comments below? Let me know. It's always just fun, chat. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, who wants to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know the review of it at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.